Good morning. Happy Monday to everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Great start off to the work week. We had a lot of rain yesterday, last night. So let's take a look at our charts first. We didn't look at the S&P 500 heat map yesterday, but on Friday, there was a lot of retracement. Financials are doing well. I noticed that Wells Fargo had popped up, gapped up from where it was. Consumer defensive is kind of where a lot of the money is moving. Nvidia is up, Google is up, Meta is up 3.3, Amazon is up a little over 3%. So that's the story there. Share the screen. Once again, I think 85% people should be in annuities. Steps up, does not lose money, steps up again, will not retrace, and steps up again. Annuities beat index investing by about 5%. How do they do that? They give a bonus, big bonus to you on any new money. And that's how they do it. If you ever need an emergency, some money you can take out up to 10% per year. So that is that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And let's go to our screens. The dollar is down sharply today, down 6%. Just look at how far that is scaled down. That's just an amazing number. So let's take a look at, before we take a look at our metals, let's look at where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is got a slight pullback, getting near its, looks like it tried to get near its 20-day moving average and is bouncing a little bit. Ethereum, definitely bouncing off of the 20-day moving average. Gold, got a little bounce in gold, up 0.4%. Silver, I think, is still pulling back a little bit. Yeah, it's pulling back to the declining 10-day moving average. Or copper is declining a little bit. A big mining company in Canada. Excuse me, I'm not sure if it's big, but it is a mining company in Canada. Southern Copper is up today. Freeport-McMoRan is up slightly. It's on the low for the day. Vale, I believe they're down in Brazil. It's moving up today, up 1.5% approximately. Rio, a UK company, but down in South America is where they do most of their work. And BHP in Australia, 0.62%. So they have a yield. I can't remember if we looked at, yeah, they have 5.1% yield, similar to Rio. Let's look at our bond yields. They really fell last week, and they're trying to recapture a little bit, up 0.66% to 3.95%. Was up to 5%, and now it's below 4%. So it's made a gigantic move. A 20-year yield is gapping up a little bit here, up 1.8%, but it's made a gigantic move down as well, down to 3.103. Look at the VIX. VIX has really popped up quite a bit, up 1.63%. And let's look at our S&P 500. is up 0.68% today with the VIX up. So that's pretty interesting. Equal weight is down. It's definitely filling the gap that we had from last week. The NASDAQ is up to the top of its range. And the equal weight is doing pretty good as well. IWM, I believe, is up as well. And they're having a strong day, up 0.27%. And finally, the Dow Jones is up slightly, 0.16%. Let's take a quick look at our financials. Filling the gap in the finance area. Energy bouncing, fell once it hit its 50-day moving average, up 0.11%. Our oil gapping up today. It's on the low of the gap. Real estate fell in the gap as well, down 1.4%. Biotech pulling back to the 20-day moving. Looks like it's far above all the moving averages. It's just pulling back. This is the line for the double bottom. It's green, and so is the 20-day moving average. So gonna fake me out there. Got a similar look to the IBB biotech shares. Software continues to rise, 1.03%. Technology up slightly. Software remains a strength in the market. Infrastructure had a big move on Thursday of last week, gap up and closed on the high. And now it's just kind of maintaining that level. Semiconductors, got a slight pullback in semiconductors. Airlines, got a slight pullback as well. Looks like they're working on a handle. Leisure activities, about the same as our airlines. Industrials, hanging out there. We haven't looked at consumer staples for a while. They're bouncing off the 10-day moving average. Healthcare sector, pulling back to the 10-day. Building materials, slight pullback. There's a company in Brazil I really like in building materials, popping out. I did take a shot on some call spread option. I believe it was 45.50. Minings and metals, huge gap up, and it's closing on its low right now. But let's see, this would be the double bottom, 48.01. The high of the would have been 52.23, would have been the buy point right over here somewhere. And you'd have a nice profit. A little bit of handle over here, and then it just blasts out of that handle with massive volume. So, here's our home builders. Got a slight pullback, almost 1%. And here is this closed fund. It just keeps rising. Fidelity Blue Chip. It's high beta index. Can't get into that, but something really similar. Fang Yu taking off big time. Up almost 6% today. So let's see what's happening in the news. So Blink shares edge higher after billionaire Kenneth Griffin's Citadel hedge fund takes a 0.4% stake in Blink, according to a regulatory filing. It's up about 4.6%. Blue Green Vacation Holdings announced the expiration of waiting period under the Hart-Scott-Rodino Antitrust Improvements Act 1976 as amended with respect to the previously announced agreement for the company to be acquired by Hilton Grand Vacations for $75 per share in cash. So we had a cash offer here and right up here, and the stock didn't move any. See our CO, EPS was up 5%, earnings surprise of almost 8%. NEO rises after entering into agreement to receive 2.2 billion in cash from Abu Dhabi investor CYVN Holdings, which has already invested 1 billion into NEO earlier this year. They'll own about 20% of NEO's total outstanding shares, and I believe there was news of 1,000-kilometer drive that NEO did on a single charge that also propelled its shares, gapped up, and it's up a little over 5%. Shoe Carnival announces new $50 million share buyback program, initially moved up into the sell zone and then pulled back. Wyndham urges shareholders to reject inadequate and highly conditional Choice Hotels merger, and Wyndham moves up on that news. Onto energy, industrial, and materials, Japan's Nippon Steel to buy U.S. Steel in a deal worth $14.9 billion, including debt. The per share offering of $55 represents a 40% premium. And look at that baby move. Could have you seen something earlier? Possibly. Look at these buying, all these blue bars. 1, 2, 3 here. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And 1, 2, 3. Today would be the fourth again, but it was definitely moving on up before the deal was announced. Sonova Energy upgraded to buy from neutral at Goldman Sachs, and not much movement there. Still below the 200-day moving average. You could continue to watch this, put it on your watch list. Solar Edge downgraded to sell from neutral at Goldman Sachs. And a slight downtick, yeah, down 3% there. Citigroup and Financials reported charge-offs for November of 2.21% and delinquencies at 2.86%. It's right about where it closed on Friday. We'll see if it can fill the gap. Said we look at Wells Fargo. See, Wells Fargo moved up quite a bit, gapped up here. Slight pullback today, but it's 47.34 was the buy point. It's been right over here on pretty good volume, and then it really jumped the next day. On to healthcare. Arcutis shares rose late Friday on the FDA approval of its drug for treating a skin condition called seborrheic dermatitis in individuals 9 years of age and older. And it tried to move up, and it's up 1.23%, but it's on its low of the day. Bristol Myers Squibb continues to be in the news, said it will discontinue its phase 3 relativity -123 trial on combo treatments, nivolumab and rituximab in patients with metastatic colorectal cancer due to a low probability of success. Their stock is actually moving up on that news today. Illumina actually said it will sell its Grail unit at a federal appeals court on Friday. Found $7.1 billion acquisition 2021 to be anti-competitive. Illumina said it will divest Grail and will not appeal the court's decision. And it's up slightly today based on that news. On technology, media, and telecom, Apple shares dropped Friday after Bloomberg News reported that more Chinese agencies and government-backed firms across the country have ordered staff to stop bringing iPhones and other foreign devices to work. Sold off a little bit today, but is bouncing from its 10-day moving average. Alibaba mentioned positively in Barron's, noting shares dropped 18% in 2023 after scrapping plans for an IPO of its cloud software business amid U.S. chip restrictions, but the company has a significant amount of cash on hand, and it looks like it's trying to fill the gap on Friday. On to EBIX. Shares fall 50%. Now it's down 63% after filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in North Texas court. The company lists both estimated assets and liabilities in the range of $500 million to $1 billion. Madison Square Garden Sports mentioned positively in Barron's, noting the company owns the New York Knicks and the Rangers, and the current market value is roughly half of Sportico's estimates for teams' combined worth. Some investors say a stock buyback or a sale of the company could yield a big payoff to shareholders, and the stock is up 2.43%. Open Text Corporation files mixed security shelf. Actually moves up a little bit on that dilution. And Snap upgraded to buy or neutral at Guggenheim with a price target of 23, but you can see it's already been moving quite a bit. See where people are moving their money today. Financial professionals. Let's see, where did my screen go? A lot of movement. New Oriental Education, ADR, tried to move up and now has filled the gap. Up 5.3% from Friday. So it was a big move there, but I don't like this closing on the low. Super Microcomputer, I think that was either Thursday or Friday I mentioned them. And look at the move. Up above the $300 mark here. I did put on option trade this morning. We'll see. It's kind of bouncing around. We'll see how it performs. I believe I put it on 322. Looks like the negative options on the spread are causing some pain. So I think I'm going to take off a couple of these. See if that doesn't help things. But that's Super Micro. We'll see how that goes. Got big volume, 3 days in a row. Highest volume yet, right over here. Crane provides tech solutions to secure and detect authenticate payment transactions. Got a big move on Crane today, up nearly 7%. Look at that volume. 2 days in a row. U-Haul holding series. It's got a long, looks like they had a little IPO over here. Pulled back. We got the blue dot showing relative strength at its peak, and it is moving on up. Adobe is in the news. Big sell-off on earnings. It's trying to fill the gap here, up nearly 3%. That's some good volume 2 days in a row. Here's the company, other company I'd put an option on today. Really like this company. I think wouldn't go that far. You could go right about here after it bounced out, or right when it gets above the 200-day moving average. You can see that there's blue bars over here. So that's that. Crane, U-Haul, Adobe, Technoglass, Carvana continues to be in the news. Look at this. It's a pretty big cup, but it looks like it's bouncing into the buy zone. It's up 7% today. We got a lot of blue bars. When it goes down, pretty low volume. That's pretty bullish, and definitely working on the right side of its cup here. PHG, Klondike Phillips. Got some good volume down here. 2 out of 3 days. Up 3.41. Bluebird Bio continues to be in the news. Gapped up here. Like I said, if it doesn't go below the gap up day, probably in good condition. Up another 2.61%. Yelp trying to jump up in the buy zone. Had a big selling day, but it really didn't move too much. So that's slightly bullish. And then it's definitely moving up today pretty strong. And finally, Marathon Digital, in the crypto mining space. Looks like it's going up in the buy zone. Just need to go about 4 to 6 cents higher, and it would be in the breakout zone. Relative strength is at 99. Relative strength line is at the high right now, even though there's not a blue dot. Let's see if what's moving down in price. Structure Therapeutics. Big gap down 40%. Highest volume in the base. That is painful. Former leader in the pandemic era. Lantheus Holdings down 26%. Wow. Must be something about their news. AYX down 1.67. This is software data analytics. Mirum Pharmaceuticals down 16%. It's not a good day for these pharmaceutical companies. Exelon just diving like a knife. You don't want to catch that one. Down 3%, down strongly under all the moving averages. You don't want to see volume like this one on a sell-off. Schneider National Trucking Company down 2.17%. Still under the 200-day moving average, and nothing really good happens there, as I repeatedly say. DocuSign was moving up last week, and people taking their profits. Gildan Activewear pulling back a little bit. Yeah, they got a big gap down after breaking up. Archer Daniels Midland moving down 4.5%. Hashi Corporation, software company, tried to move up and is pulling back about 3.2%. Interesting races on here. Big gap down. It had been leading in the autos, had a nice move up here, pulled back. People are continuing to take their profits. You don't want to see this type of red high volume action. Amarin continues its downturn. Accenture, I believe this is out of Ireland, just slight pullback. Futu, Chinese financial company, pulling back 6%, just can't get above its 50-day moving average. Bungie, grain producer, down 1.35%. Steel Dynamics, which was kind of a leader last week, people taking their profits, down 2%. And finally, MSCI has a pullback here. I'll take a look at what we can get here on the educational topic here. So there's a data analytics firm. We looked at it a little earlier. I guess it's going private. That's why the gap down here. Private deal 4.4 billion. Clear Lake Capital Group and Insight Partners are acquiring it. It went public in 2017, valuing the stock at $48.25 a share, 59% premium to the company's closing stock price on September 5th, the last trading day before media reports about potential sale launch shares of Alteryx higher. And then these are kind of stocks that we're kind of taking a look at. Synopsis, it's trending higher. It looks like an ascending base here. Ascending base is one of the rarer bases, but just keeps moving up and up on strength. Continual buying by professional money managers. Just kind of take a look at the blue bars here. Relative strength line, 93. Nutanix, I believe this is a San Jose company. So here's the initial breakout buy point. I It bounces above there, got a little bit of pullback, which isn't extraordinary. And then it bounces above and it just keeps rising. Has an enterprise cloud platform that combines server, virtualization, and storage applications into one solution. And then Arista Networks and the back office networking software just keeps rising. We had a double bottom here. The place to buy it would have been 198.56. As it breaks out here, it keeps moving up. This is one that we continually had on our list. CrowdStrike had a option bought at 155 and kind of shook me out here. Didn't get back in when it bounced to 172. I guess I had a chance over here. I wasn't watching it closely enough. And now it's just taken off to the roof. And the other one was Adobe. Big company in AI. Just continue to watch this one. It's bouncing off of its 50-day moving average. This is like sometimes an add-on buy point after initial breakout on the first pullback to the 50-day moving average where it bounces. Now let's take a look at some of our action. I call this an ascending base. So this would be the first base. And so it broke out right over here, consolidated, breaks out again, and just kind of moves higher. Another consolidation over here, breaks out again. So first I bought it right in this channel pattern when I first noticed it, right around 22. And then I sold it at, I believe it was 32. And then I bought it back right on this day. It's just kind of moving on up. It has a price target of $51. So we'll see if it gets there. Took a 50% profit. And here's the other one, GLSI, we had on the show at the same time, right around 8. We bought right over here. And it moved on up and it started pulling back and totally got out of it. So we'll continue to watch it. It has a price target, I believe, of around 30. So maybe able to get there. It just seems a little volatile right now. Wide and loose patterns, we're not too excited about that. When they tighten up, similar to this, or in this area, that's more to our liking. We looked at CrowdStrike, here's Zscaler. Bought at 177.50, and it just continues rising. Meta, we talked about at around the 290 to 300 level. Said if the bond yield pulled back, which it has, this was going to shoot up. It's gone up to 342. Had a little bit of a pullback, and now it's bouncing again. And it looked like we got a nice little breakout here, up 3% today. Look at some of the other. Microsoft is kind of trading in a tight range. Looked at Apple a little earlier. It's trying to hold in on the 10-day moving average. Google, looks like we got a bounce down there off of the lows. Netflix, definitely gapping up. It's starting to look favorable. Got a kind of wide and loose. And now here it's starting to tighten up. I would recommend like a buy right around here. Moved up, pulled back, got a little handle. Now it's trying to break above that. It's got some pretty good volume 3 out of the last 4 days. Nvidia. Looks like it's trying to break out now. Tesla had a pullback. Looks like it was trying to break out and got a little bit of a pullback on maybe some Neo news. And we looked at Apple, Amazon. Amazon's definitely breaking out here. You can see that it has some tight area in a shelf-like pattern. Now it's breaking out of that, up 3%. So we looked at Zscaler. Let's look at some of the recent ones that we've been. Ionic has got a little bit of a pullback today. Get over to my screen here. DNN, Denison Mines, tried to move up, got a little bit of a pullback today. ARM had broken out, and now we got a little bit of a pullback here. This can continue to watch that. Got a breakout here, moved higher, and now we're pulling back. Some people taking their profits in the food and beverage. Kava, we had a big move here, 20%, another 10% here, slight pullback. Some people taking their profits, and now it's continuing up another 4% today. ELF, right over here, we bought the $120 call. It broke out last week, and now it's continuing higher. So we bought, let's see, how many calls? We bought 4 calls. Total price profit so far is about $9,000. Arrow, we looked at earlier in the metals, still up. It's giving up a little bit right now, so we'll just see. I think should be able to go back up, but we'll have to keep our eyes on it. Internet of Things, Samara, we bought it at 25 call option and bounced up big strong. A little bit of profit taking, but staying within the range, up 1.44% right now. Meta, we were late to the Meta party. We should have taken our own advice, I guess, but we bought it 330. So it is moving up nicely right now. Our silver position had a nice move here, gapped up again. Now we got a pullback filling the gap. We'll just continue to watch this, down 0.6%. Rivian, nice move. See, which option did we buy? We bought the, looks like the $22 option. So just keeps on moving up. We'll just see if this ends to be a breakout. You could say that on this day, could have bought, or over here, had some nice tight areas, and then it bounced and broke out on the analyst opinion. I believe they had priced it at 25. Super microcomputer, and we were just talking about that last week. We bought a spread. We brought the 320, 325 spread. And if need be, we may have to take off one or two more of the 325s to get this into a profit area. And TGLS. We bought the spread, the 45.50 spread. We'll just see if it can continue up here. We bought 15 of those. Tesla, we bought 2 of, I believe it was the 250. Yeah, 2 of the 250 calls. We didn't do a spread, so it's kind of hanging in there. And that's our report for today. So happy Monday for everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It is up to you to do your own due diligence and see what is a good, smart investment for yourself. We'd be happy to help you on your goals and your activities. In the meantime, keep up your goals and activities and keep surprising the world. We'll catch you on Taco Tuesday.